Hi guys, this is Michael from the Board Games Chronicle. Today my journey with VUCA simulation games continues, and it continues with a blast. Today we'll be looking at one of the most interesting and beautiful games from this publisher. This will be the Chase of Bismarck. Chase of Bismarck was one of the most epic events during the whole World War II. Bismarck and his brother or twin battleship Tirpitz were built when it was still deemed the battleships to be a decisive weapon during the naval war. Yeah. So both of them were built while tens, I would say, tens of submarines can be built at the expense of Tirpitz and Bismarck. Of course, the Second World War proved that the era of battleships was over, especially it was proved on the Pacific theater where the air carriers, were the decisive weapon. But of course, once the decision was made by Hitler, he decided he wants the Navy, the German Navy, to be proud, and he ordered the construction of Bismarck and construction of Tirpitz. In 1941, the Bismarck actually went into the sea from the German ports. The assumption was he will be raiding the convoys, the British convoys, and what would be the better place than do it from the France? Yeah? French ports, after the fall of France in 1940, were a perfect place for this. You probably know the history. You know that during the cruise from the Germany up to France, Bismarck was intercepted by the British Navy. He actually managed to destroy almost single shot the hood. It was one of the greatest disasters of the British Navy. And then the chase for Bismarck started. He almost made it to the air cover from the French bases, from the German bases in France, and almost made it to the port, but before it was sunk. So this game is exactly about this, about the operation. Let me read it correctly. Rheinbung. And this game was designed by Jack Green and Patrick Gebhardt. Let's have a look into the box, but also let's have a look at some of the mechanics. This will not be a pure unboxing movie. This will be more like a first look at the game. Yes, so we'll look at also some game mechanics. First of all, this is a huge box. It says 2 to 6 hours, 2 players from 14 years up. And according to VUCA complexity metric, it's 4. I already played a couple of games of VUCA. I would say 4 is not, indeed, it's not a lot. For example, 4 is also for Traces of War. I think Donnerschlag has like 3, something like this. I would need to double check, but more or less, this is not the most complex game. However, this is not very much solitaire friendly. You will see in a moment why. What I also like is how VUCA publisher marks historical periods of the game. So you can see this is Second World War, and then you have zoom. Yeah, so you can also have other areas here, and then zoom at particular area. Let's move this heavy box up. What do we have here? First of all, we have a nice glossy rulebook, which is not too big. If you look, let's remove designer notes. We have like 21 pages of rules. Is it much? Not. Is it only a few? No. So I would say this would be like medium complexity game. Not very complex, not very difficult. 4 is probably a good approximation. And if we take into account that we still have some pictures here, the table of contents here, the actual number of pages with rules is much less than 20. Here in the rulebook, we have explanation of, for example, the counters. Actually, there are 2 types of counters and there are 2 types of boards. You can read here that the game actually consists of 2 phases. One of the phases would be operational part of the game, and the other would be tactical part of the game. In operational part of the game, you would be trying to locate the enemy on the map. There will be two maps. Each side will have one of the maps of the North Atlantic and doing some moves, doing some searches. So this will be operational part, and those tokens will be representing the operational part of the game. Here you can see the example tokens. We'll also show them in a moment. Here we have the tactical tokens, which are used during the actual battle. Here are the Kampfgruppe and Task Force tokens. If you hear Task Force, of course, another great game about search, about air and naval warfare comes to mind, so Pacific War. There will be a lot of similarities, I would say, but also a lot of, let's say, great concepts which both games share. We'll have also air forces, which would be able either to search or attack, and tons of additional tokens. So we have here operational tokens, which are used on the large map, and the tactical tokens used on the battle map. Then we have characteristics of the ships. There are a lot of, let's say, ship cards. Some of them are hypothetical. Not every ship took part in this operation, in these battles, which could potentially. So yeah, this is also added. This is an optional rule. Here you would see how you set up the game. I will try to set up here, but I might run out of space. This game takes some space definitely. So you have one side here, the other side here. These are the identical operational maps on which you will be marking move of your ships, some searches and other stuff. Here you would have a separation curtains, you can say, which will be actually it will disguise what you will be doing from your opponent. Here's the battle track. Here we would have the actual ships, yeah, and their let's say cards. So it's like Bismarck, Prince Eugen, yeah, and other ships. And also we would have some damage tokens, evasion tokens, convoy tokens, which we need to draw on random. Here we have the sequence of play. It's pretty intuitive, you can say. You have visibility phase skipped on turn 1 when the weather actually can influence what happens on the map. Then you have shadow phase, also skipped on turn 1 when the ship was spotted in the previous turn and some special actions take place. Then you have movement phase, which is not only movement phase. This is important. This is one of the key phases in the game. You have here special cases for the shadowed units. You can create or split task forces. You can also mark and perform repair at sea. You can do refueling and other stuff like this. Then you have very, very important search phase, and where you call out all search hexes. It player first. Then you have air attack phase, pretty intuitive, and also for those who know Pacific War and the sequence of play Pacific War, also similar. Then you have the naval combat phase and chance phase. Chance phase is mainly connected with, first of all, submarine contact, but also random spotting table and convoy hunting. And then, of course, admin phase. Now, how we can win the game? We can win the game simply by sinking the Bismarck. This is automatic victory for the allied player, but also you can get the victory points. The turn will have like from 22nd to 29th of May, so about 8 turns. Yeah, eight turns, which will be taking place. So you can have also victory points here. And then, of course, the rulebook shows you the in details visibility phase, shadow phase, movement phase, a lot of material on movement phase. Then we have a search phase. How do we search? We have air attack phase. Okay, naval combat phase. It's of course played on this smaller map, as I told you. Okay, those sea zones, like close, middle, far. It reminds me another game which I really like. It's Atlantic Chase. If you played Atlantic Chase, you also had this operational map when you were trying to spot the task forces, and you have this tactical map, and you played and the long distance, shorter distance, and depending on this, there were some, let's say, different characteristics of the weapons. Okay, yeah, this is still the naval combat and naval combat example. This is heart of the game, of course. And then we have a little examples about the change phase. Last but not least, I believe the optional rule starts here. Yes, so the hypothetical unit which could take place, but it of course will influence the victory points. Like if you use Tirpitz, it's -9 points. If you use Scharnhorst or Gneisenau, -7-8. Very, very two good ships which inflicted a lot of damage on allies during the World War II. And if you use New York or Augusta, that actually helps the allies. And then we have designer notes. I really like the designer notes, and VUCA really puts a lot of interesting stuff here. Not only the designer notes, but also the story, and you can also have the biography. And Jack Green is a really, really established, let's say, naval games designer. I show a lot of his products, and really glad that he also designed that one. And we have glossary, as I told you. We have also the ships and also how they look like. Okay, and that would be all. Nice. So this is the rule book. Let's move on to see what else we have inside. We have the player aids, combat player aid. Yeah, I will not be going into details here. You can see that it's nice, sturdy, mounted way of doing the player aids. I think I saw it also in a couple of other VUCA games. For example, Traces of War, really nice. And then you have a setup. This is also the hallmark of VUCA. You have all those tokens put on the A4 paper, and you can very easily set it up. Maybe for Bismarck that's not so important because you don't have so many tokens. But for example, if you play 1914 Paris, that really makes a difference. So you have all the naval, air, and markers, the same here. Yeah. So this is German Allied setup display. Then you have the battle map. So this tactical map. Yeah, as I told you, this game takes some space. So let me just try push it forward and set it up for you. And you will probably still not see the whole of it, but a big chunk of it. Yeah, so the ships will be here and will come to the counters in a moment. So I will try to put them also here so you can see. Short, medium, long, extreme. Seems like a lot of Navy games actually have similar concepts, so similar naming convention like in Atlantic Chase. Then you have those, how you call them, mats, which actually separate what you are doing as a German from what your allied opponent is doing. And they have, of course, additional player aid here for the phases. So the sequence of play, exactly what happens in each part of the sequence of play. So those player aids which we had here, they are for the combat player aid, yeah? So they are for the combat. And here we have all other stuff. Looks delicious, yeah? A lot of tables, walls, some modifiers. Can't wait to actually check it. So this is one mat, and this is the second mat. One is for British, and the other one is for German. Yeah, player screen. Oh, yeah, that's the word I was missing. Player screen, so you can actually screen what you're doing. You have similar screens also in Pacific War. Yeah, Pacific War also has such screens. Now, here we have the ships. Each of the ships has its own ship map, and yeah, you can see the details like name, class, battleship, the logo, which is only for, let's say, historical purposes, length, beam, draft. Then you have hull, how many hits it can take, primary armament bow, primary armor bow, armor stern, secondary armament. Sorry, I thought correctly at the beginning. Okay, unreliable radar. After first round of combat in the game, treat as no radar. Okay. So this is for Bismarck. You have also Tirpitz, Scharnhorst, Gneisenau. Now you have the British ones. Let us find the Hood, King George, large ones, Nelson, Ramilles, Revenge, Hood. So those guys were the poor folks which were destroyed so quickly. So you can see the evasion, torpedoes, and also class of a radar. Very good radar here. Repulsed was a old, if I remember, battle cruiser. Renown, New York, Prince Eugen, and Cullen. Not huge ones, but as I told you, that guy was really deadly also. Destroyers, flotilla, Suffolk, Norfolk, cruisers. Okay. We'll not go through all of them, but as you can see, you can use in this game pretty many ships, and when you start the battle, you will be marking their losses. I like also the way how you mark it. Now let's jump to the compass. By the way, I'm using Cube for Me trays, counter trays, and card holders. Just to let you know, you will have a link below this video. I already put it here, so it's easier for me to show you all the components. So let us say that the damage to the Bismarck hull at the beginning of the battle is 0. So you mark it like this. During the round, the Bismarck got 3 hits. You mark it like this, so it has 3 hits, but you only count it after the round. And this mechanism allows you to actually calculate all the hits which were inflicted during the round, but help you to show that the impact of those hits is not yet counted in this round. So during the round, you accumulate hits with the red. Let's say he got 2 more. So we are here. And at the end of the round, we move the blue one here to mark, okay, in round 2, it has already 5 hits to the hull. So that's the way to do it. And yeah, you will be marking with those cubes a lot of things, mainly the damage. What else do we have here? Let's make some space, not so easy. Okay, here we have all the important counters. As I told you, already put them here. Let me come closer to the camera. This is put in 2 trays. There are 2 deep trays. Here we have some counters for the airplanes, also for sighted part, so notification ones. And here we would have the actual ships, torpedoes, also the search markers for the airplanes and convoys. Let me show you some of the markers here. This is one of the best way to keep those. Here, yeah, so yeah. Here you have a Bismarck. You can put him here. Tirpitz, and let's put him here. And let us take, I don't know, 2 British ones. And we have Prince Eugen too. So Prince Eugen goes here. Augusta goes here. Exeter goes here. Yeah. So here is where you will be playing the actual battles with those tactical counters. Beautiful counters, by the way, as all the games in VUCA, let's say, portfolio, the counters are pre-rounded and are really beautiful. Really like them. So, yep, that's the counters. What I also like about them is the color palette. It's not so drastic, you know, it's not so sharp. It's like pastel palette, really nice. Okay, so here we have the counters. Then we have some additional ones. like evasion markers, and you have also hit markers. Those you put into the cup and you actually draw. So it should be random. When you have 10-sided dice, yeah, like 3 each. Okay, and then you have those optional maps, 2 mounted maps. I will show only one. Hopefully it will fit into the camera. Let me see. This is the North Atlantic. Let me see how it's visible in the camera. Not bad, I would say. You can see almost everything. So here is our game turn track. Yep, here we have aircraft refit. Here we have all the phases: visibility, shadow, movement, search, air attack, naval combat, chance, admin. Yeah, this is terrain key. You will have visibility level, camp groups or task force. Here, camp group task force. And here you will have also the convoys. Sorry, too many things at the table. And also the fuel track. And you can see the North Atlantic. Here, the most probably interesting part is here when they will be trying to get out to the outside. Remember, if Bismarck is sunk, German lose immediately. But of course, if it's not sunk and it, for example, reaches the French ports, it will get some victory points. Yeah, it's beautiful. You know, I really like the way the map was done. Not only mounted, but also the color palette, the details. Yeah, all this looks beautiful, and this suspense when both sides try to find the other side and check where they are. Where is the Bismarck? Of course, if you spot them or you are spotted with not enough strong task force, well, it might be your demise. So this is the second map, identical, very similar to the first one. So you set up one map here, one map heap. You put 2 screens here. You put the battle track here, and also the ship markers here, ship maps. And then you go through the actual sequence of play. I hope pretty soon I will be able to show to you guys how it's actually being played. Now let me pack all the stuff and also show you that the storage solution works nicely for this game. Actually, you probably already seen this because when I was unpacking this, there was 0 problems with keeping all the stuff here. Okay, and then to battle. And that will be, my dear friends, the Chase of Bismarck, a beautiful, intriguing, very interesting game from VUCA Simulation by Jack Green and Patrick Gebert. Can't wait to bring the game to the table to play with my colleagues, to try to outsmart each other. That's definitely what's important in this game. How to bluff in a way that you will be able to evade a very, very powerful British Navy and their air wings, and at the same time get into the Atlantic and start hitting the convoys. That will pretty soon be presented on my blog. For today, that's all I have for you guys. If you like this material, kindly please give thumbs up. If you'd like to see more like this, kindly please subscribe. Also, if you'd like to comment, to give your opinion, to ask, use the section below the video. That's all for today. Thank you very much and hear from you soon.